and just make sure that the general public, if they're just listening, they know who is speaking. So with that, I'll be glad just to turn it over to the chair.
Hey, y'all. Hope everyone's doing all right. So I'm just going to go ahead and call a motion. This is Alex speaking. I'm going to go ahead and call a motion to order to call to order.
Second, Jennifer.
Awesome. So we have, what is this, bullet point number 2 to set the agenda. Alec, did you want to go into kind of a comments in regards to that? Having some computer issues over here.
Yeah, different times each of you is breaking up a little bit. I don't know if it's my connection. We've had these problems. We will soldier on.
Okay.
The agenda, I don't have any revisions or updates to the agenda, so it's as you see it.
Okay.
Perfect. I'm sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay, sorry about that. Perfect. So I guess, let's see, let me get this pulled up. Pulled up on this other screen right here. Guys are going to have to forgive me. I'm not the most technically challenged or good at all this stuff.
We're all learning.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in it together.
Okay, perfect. So let me get in here. So we'll go ahead and do the roll call, I believe. Shelley, is that?
Yes, please. If everybody can just announce themselves, and then we'll just determine that there's a quorum.
Perfect. And then I guess I'll go first. Alex Zooks is present.
Susan Murphy is present.
Jennifer Simmons is present.
I believe right now that's all we have on this board. Isn't that correct, Alex?
That is,
Any new?
That is correct.
Perfect.
that is
Have we had
correct.
any new?
Alec Robinson staff is present.
And Shelley DeHart, secretary, is present.
Perfect. So I guess we'll go into the adoption of the minutes. So I put a motion.
If you would, Chairman, please ask for motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Oh, yeah. A motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Seconded.
I second.
Murphy seconds it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All three of you?
All three of us.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion passed.
Perfect. And then Shelley, are you able to pull those minutes up?
I am.
Link. Okay, perfect.
I apologize that that they weren't with the agenda. Again, we're learning slowly.
No, that's completely fine.
And as you
face to face.
As you may recall, August was the last time we met here in Belmont. We met in November. Some of us over with Gaston County Historic Preservation Commission, and then again in February over there in Gastonia. So since we didn't convene as a board, there are no minutes from those dates.
Perfect. Yeah, I know I wasn't able to attend to that. So as far as this bullet point 3, Alex, for the adoption of the minutes for, let's see, the August, do we just need to bypass that?
If you haven't read them, we can, Shelley, can we?
Yes, we can bring them back to give everyone time to read them. So we'll make sure we email them out and just adopt them for the next meeting.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
So then I guess we'll have, do we need to do a motion to go into the agenda? And you guys will have to forgive me. I'm still trying to learn the Robert's rules of process here.
So you can just introduce the next agenda item.
Okay, so then we'll go to the bullet point B there for the agenda number 1 for the update on the GAD House, 304 South Central Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
I missed that.
Pardon?
I was just saying, I missed that meeting the last time.
Right. That's okay. Doug Gadd lives at the intersection of South Central and Keener, kind of diagonally across the street from Stowe Manor. Y'all, it's the Tudor House. Y'all know the house. So
Yes.
he came to the Gaston County HP Commission meeting in February and just informally talked to their board about him going into the process of application. He gave some background on who built the house, kind of the little brief history of the house and the architectural features. And Lucy Penniger, who's the grand dame of Gaston County Historic Press,
Yeah.
went over some of the process along with staff. The guy that's on the commission, his name is Jason. I can't remember his last name, but he acts as the review person for submittals and can also act as a consultant. So he offered his services to the GADs, but they have the option of hiring their own consultant to write the application or using Jason. You've basically got to put down on paper a fairly detailed architectural description of the house.
Okay.
More than just a paragraph. It should get into.
Is that them? Are they trying to get historic designation? Is that what they're trying to get?
They're going to presumably seek designation to take advantage of the tax credits. I talked to Lucy Penniger today, and they have not heard anything more from the GADs. They're awaiting the application. She doesn't know if they're in the process of getting it done. They have not met since February, and normally they meet monthly. So because of COVID, they have kind of gone on a back burner. So
Yeah.
she didn't have much more to offer. The house is in the historic district. It has its own description in the listing, and it'll be a Gaston County process until they come to us and ask for our input.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Understand.
she didn't know when they might meet, and she did make a point of saying it's as if they're temporarily shut down.
Okay.
That's all I have on the GAD House.
Okay, got you.
Any questions?
Do we need to reach out to them from kind of from the Belmont Historical Advisory Board, or just kind of leave it in their court until they file that application?
And that's a good question. I don't know. I can certainly reach out to Doug, and
He was on the city council, right?
He was,
Necessary, Doug. Yeah.
but is no longer.
Right. Yeah, definitely. If we could, I guess, just kind of reach out to see if he needs any assistance, if there's anything that we could actually provide or guidance for him, or if we could help him in any way, because that's definitely a neat home.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I'll be
prominent,
glad-
right? The location it's at.
I'll be glad to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Was there any other questions or anything like comments?
Well, it's Susan speaking. Should one of us to shepherd the application into Gaston for them, or that maybe not?
I will ask him. I think he needs to go. He needs to respect their process, but I'll tell him that we're available for any assistance that we can render.
Great.
Any questions?
I'm good on my end. Did any of you guys have any further questions?
All good.
About that.
Cool. Yeah, that would be very good. That would be awesome. Definitely let us know what he says in regards to that. So with that being said, I guess we'll go into the discussion of the bylaws.
Yes, sir. As you are aware, the council approved your request to eliminate the term limits.
Yep.
That was the main
Mm-hmm.
update that I had. I vacillate between thinking we're a small board, keep it simple, and then do we need to flesh out those to be more in-depth set of bylaws? I'd like your opinion on that.
Susan speaking here. I think maybe I kind of agree with you that since we're a small committee whose efforts really haven't gotten going yet, we can always change and adopt and revise year to year or every 6 months or something.
Sure.
But as they're written now, it kind of covers most of what we need to get started. And I like the idea that now we've taken off the term limits, and that just makes it easier, I think, for the city too.
I think it was a sound request to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Alex speaking. So yeah, I completely agree. Definitely don't want to make it too convoluted or too complex with trying to get this off the runway, because there's a lot of learning both from us and the board, and then also to the city as well. So definitely making the process as easy as possible is definitely a positive.
Jennifer, totally agree.
Okay. Well, I mean, we've got 3 members that I would suggest adopting them as revised and having that done. We are hopeful that in June, City Council will undertake to appoint more members. The 2 additional members, we've got a planning board member that we need to appoint, and we've been waiting for these appointments, and one of the council members, Shelley, I think it was at this month's meeting, kind of goaded the others about let's get these appointments filled.
That is correct. And in fact, the city manager, Adrian Miller, sent out an email over the weekend, now that we're in phase 2, directing the city clerk to coordinate the completion of our board interviews so we can go ahead and make appointments. So my understanding is she's working on that. They did interview I think some some applicants for this board, but they make it a point not to make any appointments until they interviewed everybody. And unfortunately, the COVID-19 put a halt on the process, but my understanding is they are moving forward.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that June will bring about a full board.
Yeah, that would definitely be awesome. So Alec, do I need to read through these and then we have a motion to accept or accept the bylaws?
As you see fit.
Perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and read through this for the bylaw section. The board shall consist of no more than 5 members. A quorum shall consist of 3 or more members. An action of the board may be conducted only with a quorum. Regular meetings will be held quarterly on the second Wednesday of August, November, February, and May. Meetings will be held at 5:15 p.m. in City Council chambers at City Hall. Special meeting may be called, if needed, by staff in consultation with the chairperson. All board members, including the chairperson, are eligible to vote on any agenda items. A member must be physically present in order to vote. Election of the chairperson and vice chair will be held annually in August. A majority vote of the members present is required for all recommendations, determinations, and elections. Recommendations and determinations shall be presented to the City Council as an advisory opinion. The board member terms shall be 2 years. The initial appointments shall be for 2 voluntary 1-year terms and 3 2-year terms, and thereafter shall be for 2-year terms. Proposed deletion, I'll just go through the deletion. A board member may be appointed to a maximum of 3 consecutive terms. A citizen may be appointed to fill the unexpired term of a member and may serve the remainder of that term and 2 additional terms. And of course, that's what we had proposed to the City Council to have deleted. May serve, and now we have implemented a board member may serve an unlimited number of terms, notwithstanding, however, he or she may be succeeded by the appointment of a new member by the City Council. A board member shall request of the chairperson to be excused from any discussion or vote on any matter in which the matter feels a financial conflict of interest. The chairperson shall preside at all meetings of the advisory board and shall decide all points of procedure. Robert's rules of order shall govern. The vice chair shall assume the duties and responsibilities of the chair in the event the chair is absent. When both the chairperson and the vice chairperson are absent, those members present shall select a member by majority vote to preside over the meeting. Historic Preservation Advisory Board staff shall keep minutes of board meetings and records of its transactions, which shall be publicly available. Such minutes and records shall be turned over to the city clerk for keeping. Citizens attending a Historical Preservation Advisory Board meeting shall be allowed to address the advisory board prior to the advisory board's consideration of regular business items. Any person wishing to address the advisory board shall state his or her name and address for the record. A person wishing to speak after the period of public comment must first be recognized by the chairperson and must limit comments to the immediate topic of discussion. So with reading through that, I mean, does anybody have any questions or comments or anything like that before we go into any type of motions of accepting them?
All sounds good to me.
Great, Jennifer.
Susan, sorry.
Perfect. So then I'll go ahead and motion to accept these bylaws.
I'll second that motion. Susan?
Perfect.
I feel like we need buzzers.
Sorry?
I said, I feel like we need buzzers.
I think there's an option to raise your hand or something like that through the WebEx or something. So I guess we'll go ahead and go into all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Perfect. So the bylaws will pass.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's see here. I'm trying to get back to this agenda now. Sorry, guys.
I will update the forms and then send them to you without the draft watermark on them.
Perfect. Perfect. And just as a point of clarification, if there's any type of additions that we want to make to it, is that just something that would be brought up into the other business or something during a general regular meeting or anything like that?
Well, yeah, it would be, if you want to do that, if you would call us or email us ahead of the meeting, we could distribute it and put it on the agenda for that meeting.
Okay.
I just,
Curious.
we're an informal board until we no longer need to be informal, is the way I look at it.
Well said. I like that.
Yeah, there's a time.
So, if you have, I got pretty thick skin. If you don't like it, just tell me. It won't hurt my feelings.
No. I was just curious if anything, I mentioned
Sure.
something about, later down the road.
I used to be code enforcement officer, and so I've been cussed about every way you can be.
Oh, Lord. I believe it.
I don't think we'll get to that. I hope.
So yeah, just shoot us an email and we'll be glad to distribute it.
Perfect.
Get it on the agenda so we can vote on it at that meeting.
Okay, yeah, okay, gotcha. Perfect. Well,
By the way,
go ahead.
By the way, I hope this is our last virtual meeting. We're going to meet again in August, and I think some of our other boards will start meeting with social distancing in June. So we're gradually pulling out of this thing.
Now with phase, we're still having to abide by this, but is that included in second phase where we can start doing meetings, I guess you could say, face to face, or do we have to wait till the third phase for that?
Shelley?
According to phase 2, the direction we received is we can start holding meetings now as long as we do it with social distancing. So we are starting to schedule meeting in person for our boards over at TechWorks, because they have a very large meeting room down in their basement where we can socially distance and spread out in the room. So yes, we do not have to wait till the third phase. We are good to start meeting now. And
I'm sorry. Is there a cap on the people who can attend these meetings?
no, just however you can socially distance. I mean, there will be a cap based on the room size. That's why we've been directed to schedule our meetings at TechWorks. But no, phase 2, that maximum limit of 10 people does not apply to government meetings. So we are good based on the direction we have received.
Great.
Perfect. Yeah, and as long as everyone here, on this call is comfortable with that as well, because definitely do anything that would make someone feel uncomfortable or put them in a position where they don't want to come, but they're coming. So definitely, as long as everyone's comfortable with it.
You're correct. And if a board member does not feel comfortable, we can still coordinate the virtual meetings, and so we can make that happen. So we are asking, as we schedule the meetings, asking the members to ensure that they feel comfortable attending in-person meetings.
Awesome.
Okay.
So with that being said, I guess we could open it up for some type of discussion, or if there's any points that anyone would like to bring up, because I know we have some time. And we've kind of gone through the agenda itself pretty quickly. So I didn't know if anybody had any points other than the COVID items. And if there's any other things that pertain to COVID, definitely discuss that as well. So does anybody have any comments or questions?
Jennifer, I do, but it doesn't have anything to do with COVID. I brought it to the attention of Alex already that 18 Cedar Street was purchased by a flipper. So we were planning on flipping the home. And it's got all its original windows and stuff. And it's on the corner of Cedar and Central. The green one. Y'all have seen it probably passing by. It's the little green one with the black windows on the corner. So I know that through business with real estate, and so we've already discussed some steps that they could take to keep it as 100-year-old as possible, from the especially. But he was curious on how, like, does he have to put in an application to do colors? And, Alex and I talked about windows, but we don't really have our architectural guidelines in place yet. So this is, I think, something that we need to pay attention to as people come in and try to house this in the historic district. He didn't realize that he was even in the historic district. So how do we handle stuff like that?
Kind of like, are you kind of like mentioning potentially doing like an information or pamphlet or something when someone purchases a property within the historic district or a historical property to say, hey, by the way, this is the information on the house, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's some potential options that you could take to preserve the house and stuff like that. Is that kind of like you're kind of gearing to?
Yeah, something like that. So we have something already in place that they can go off. He was asking me, do we have to run our colors through you? Do I have to decide what kind of siding to use on the garage? Which in a lot of historic districts, it is very regulated. But I kind of had to say, let me get back to you.
Yeah. And Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this board is just kind of designated as advisory, or only advising, correct? We don't have any powers or anything like that to tell someone that they can't paint a house a certain color or something like that. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir. We actually formed an historic preservation commission back in 2018, and they started meeting as a board, and a group, a subset of the downtown property owners activated themselves in opposition to it, and it became controversial pretty quickly. So it was disbanded.
Right. Definitely, we would have to probably stick to more of kind of an information type of pamphlet type of thing, right, or something like that. Now, Shelley, do we have an approved budget or anything like that? And I know this is such a bad time to ask with COVID and everything, to pay for those types of information pamphlets or anything like that.
This is Shelley. What we can do is we can always find the money. No, we do not have a line item specific to this board, but if that is part of your work program where you want to develop some guidelines for historic homes, you can, then we would get a cost estimate, and then planning would work to find the money within its budget to get it to print. So we definitely can do that. And Jennifer, can you give me the address of the home you brought up again? You said Cedar and
18 Cedar Street.
Cedar.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask, do you know if it's a locally designated landmark?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
It's not.
That's always something that, if it's part of the work program you'd like to put together, is have informational material to give them for them to consider maybe going in that direction. What would that mean? And, have something, you might want to connect them with the, was it the Historic Belmont Foundation as well, or the Historic Society, and many of those members actually have locally designated homes and have gone through the process so where they could share their own experience. So,
I don't think that that's what he wants because he's trying to flip it, which is
so he
renovate
did,
it
yeah.
and as fast as possible. And that's where it was. He asked me about it because we work together in real estate, and he knows I'm an old house person. So I just made suggestions that to pick. I was like, we don't really have these strict guidelines at this point. So I just recommend you pick from the historic colors, the bungalow style colors, which are kind of drab, but still, that would pick from that palette. And also, if you could save the windows, try your hardest to save those. It might save you money, which he was, he said he thinks he has somebody that could do that. So,
great.
Yeah. And then he had questions about the garage, because the garage is on the property line. And they're gonna keep the garage. They're just gonna repair what's on the garage that needs repaired. But is there anything in place that says, since he's grandfathered in as the garage being on the property line, that he would have to remove the garage like partially? This is what he was told. Rebuild it in 2 sections because of the historic. It is the original garage, but I don't think it's that big a deal.
If we look at our records and find that it is truly grandfather, that means it was established legally at some point. And if it's on the property line, and they're just repairing it, as long as they're not adding to it or moving it, then
it actually encroaches on the neighbor's property. Was it grandfathered? I mean, it is the 1924 garage. Yeah.
So the easiest way is to see the neighbor wouldn't entertain some kind of lot line adjustment just to get it all on one property. But yeah, that's between him and his neighbor as it stands right now. So
on that issue, okay. Okay, well, then I guess basically we just guide, hey, please, if possible, use historic colors and try to save as much as possible on the historic part of the exterior.
This is Susan. Interesting you bring this up, Jennifer, that it's something we really need to consider, that as soon as a house is sold, perhaps in the historic district, a pamphlet that, and I would be willing to volunteer to meet with the foundation and for the Historical Society, if they don't already have something put together about the history of the city and either photos of old homes, or I'd be willing to work on that so that we could give that to realtors as well as to buyers and sellers. And that way we could promote what we do too.
Right.
I do want to share that I know the design committee on the city's Main Street board is working on design guidelines that they want to use to help protect the historic architecture on the within the Main Street district for the commercial buildings. When they're applying for grants, they're working on something, a guideline book. So maybe we can connect the two and see if there isn't information we can share and partner on something to address the homes in the area, historic homes, as well as our historic commercial buildings. I believe they're following the what is it? The Office of Interior Guidelines. I'm sorry, I'm very
Secretary of the Interior.
There you go, Secretary of the Interior Guidelines. And then if we could match that up with paint, the correct painting for buildings, whether it's the bungalow style or commercial, that would be something to put together, and we could help each advisory board in a different way.
And the other change to our bylaws, it crossed out that where we might serve an advisory committee is not just in the historic district, but within the entire city itself. So it's not just Main Street and Central and
Right.
those. It can go further, and even if people didn't really want to go by the guidelines, how lovely it would be for them.
And yeah, just informational, especially until we, I don't know if our historic district is going to end up as strict as others are, potentially not, which is fine.
Right.
I totally understand, but for the architectural reasons, sometimes flippers go in and do crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
not crazy, but they just destroy the historical accuracy and make something brand new.
Now, within your advisory board, oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say, within your advisory board, you can form if Susan and Jennifer wants to do a little subcommittee and meet in between your quarterly meetings to work on things like that, you can do that and then bring the information to the board as a whole. So that's something the chair can entertain if you want to create a little subcommittee or just one person has the time, or if you want to do it as a group, you just let us know.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think in regards to that? I mean, obviously, I feel like a lot of us have maybe sometimes, some people might have a little bit more time on their hands than others right now, but I have some free time as well right now. So do you guys want to do a committee between yourselves or just keep it open to the board, or what do you guys think?
To, get started, to start pulling some resources together. And Jennifer, well, between you and Shelley, you'd probably have some good ideas of where to get started. And if I were to just pull the raw resources together, and then maybe other people could, I'll present them, and then we could maybe put together the subcommittee. I feel strongly that it's something we should get going on. So
as the town gets more popular, for sure.
Exactly. And Jennifer, just the fact that you know about that flipper who at least thought to ask you about historic designation or regulation, that's great.
It wasn't because he knew he was in the historic district. It's because he wanted my advice on trying to keep the house historic because of my background that he knows of historic homes. He didn't even realize when he told me he was buying it. I said, that's in the historic district, right? He's like, oh crap, what does that mean? Because he'd already bought it.
Can be scary for builders sometimes.
Yep.
Is this his first rodeo?
Oh, no. In the historic district, yes. But didn't realize, he's done tons of flips, but he usually flips older, like 70s, 50s in neighborhoods that aren't historic. So, or it's been on like an old house on a couple acres or something like that was, he just totally flips. So, and he's asked my advice on stuff that's been older than 1970. So.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, whether it means visiting the folks in Gastonia, maybe when the Historical Society reopens, give me some points to start, and I'll start tracking it down. Okay. Jennifer, I'll walk over to your house. We could have coffee and a meeting.
Yeah. Or my sister, right? Okay.
Perfect. So any other comments or anything?
Alex, you can be involved, please, Alex. Be involved as much as you want. You just said you have some free time.
Oh no, I do. Yeah, I'm not going into work. My wedding's been postponed, so I got
oh
some.
My gosh!
Oh, your wedding was postponed? Oh. Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
Did your
Things
venue,
after.
the venue was closed? The venue is where the postponement came in?
We actually just kind of decided to postpone it because the venue was fine. We just didn't want to put people at risk or anything like that. But yeah, no,
It'll be
absolutely.
better than before then, I'm sure.
I'm sorry.
Maybe it'll be a bigger, better wedding than before, potentially.
We'll see. So I mean, we could probably hold off or so on the committee thing until we get some more board.
Okay.
yeah.
Since it's just the three of us, and I'd proposed, maybe when things start relaxing, maybe the three of us go get some coffee or something and go over some next steps in an informal setting. But definitely we could come up with some bullet points or so action items that each of us can deliver. Because Jennifer, I definitely agree with you guys to try to get the ball rolling so that we don't stall out and definitely try to get those activities, whether it be the pamphlets or tickets, but getting involved with the historical societies that are within Belmont. I know I talked to Liz, and I know that she'd be more than willing to help us
Right.
with her connections within the historical society and community in Belmont.
Okay.
Sounds good, Jennifer.
Susan agrees.
Alex.
All right.
We've been really
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that anybody would like to bring up? I think we actually have to review and approve. Do we need to approve those, the proposed next meeting times?
They're set forth for
Perfect.
this year. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Is there anything else?
No, that's solid on my side.
yeah, from here too.
I hope we'll have a full board in August.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Did they say that there has been some people interested in it as applications and stuff like that? Perfect. Perfect. Because I believe we need 2 more people to complete the board. Right. Yep. Yeah, that would definitely be awesome.
Yeah.
And then
Agreed.
if I do know there was at least 2 applications, but I believe, and Alec, if you could help clarify this for me, there's a certain amount of the membership that's supposed to live within the historic district or within a local landmark. So I believe just
Correct.
1 out of the 2 applicants qualified, so there might still be another vacancy. So if you know of someone who's interested, you can just send them to Alec, and he can coordinate an application and try to get them in for an interview when they start interviewing again in June.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, yeah, that's all really I have. And then Alec, please let us know if Gad or Mr. Gad needs any further assistance or anything like that with his house. That's definitely a beautiful home, and it would be awesome to bring that in to preserve it.
Will do.
Awesome. Well, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and throw the motion out to adjourn.
Okay.
Seconded from Susan.
Susan?
Jennifer agreed.
Was there a second? Sorry, I broke out of there. Okay.
Susan.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, Alec, I believe that's it for today. And again, I appreciate you guys putting this together. I know this has been crazy for the city of Belmont staff. So definitely big kudos to you guys. So I appreciate that.
You.
Thank you. And thanks for putting up with us.
No, thanks for putting up with us.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.
Okay, you
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.
Y'all too. Good night.
Bye.